David. Michelle Bernard is an MSNBC political analyst, the president of Independent Women's Voice, and Joan Walsh is editor-in-chief of Salon.com. Joan, I'm dying to hear what you think about this because it's odd, and I'm not sure Cindy McCain went over the line at all, but what do you think when in basically interposing or counterposing her view of our country with what she says is Michelle Obama's feeling toward our country?
Yeah, why? Why did she do that, Chris? I mean, I just didn't think it was very classy. Laura Bush said that we should all be, kind to Michelle Obama and take her at her word that she didn't mean anything untoward or unpatriotic, and I certainly agree with that. I think that proud remark has been overhyped and overanalyzed. There's nothing else in her background or her record to suggest that she's not patriotic. And so, also Cindy McCain, that poor woman, she endured a whisper campaign by, people associated with the Bush campaign, in 2000 about her daughter, about her own health and legal problems. She is the last person who should be kind of talking in innuendo about a political opponent. I just thought it was
Joe, what are the rules of engagement amongst between spouses? I mean, they're not technically running for office. They're supporting their spouse who is running for office, and they're talking about another spouse of someone running for office. What are the rules of engagement? Are they permitted to take shots, or is it wrong, just per se? Like baseball players making fun of each other in the newspapers always drives me crazy. What is the rule among spouses?
Well, it drives you crazy, and it often backfires with baseball players. You've heard hundreds of interviews where people took off-field mocking and turned it into on-field motivation. And I hope that Michelle Obama is sitting there being classy, being restrained, and being determined never to lower herself to fight like that. But you're right, Chris. There really aren't rules of engagement. We'll have to write them. We all kind of wondered at the Bill Clinton versus Michelle Obama face-off, which never got really personal like this. I'd just rather not see it. I would rather that they both stick to policy, stick to, being a support to the real candidate. I don't mean anything sexist by that, because I certainly wish that the would-be first husband had done a little bit more of that. It's not a gender thing. It's really who's running for president. What is the role of the spouse?
It's tricky.
One of the things Joan mentioned in her blog on Salon.com that I agree with is when you're talking about political spouses, you don't want to look like you've got two women in a cat fight. It reinforces the stereotype that women can't get along, women can't have honest policy discussions, women can't talk about politics without the claws coming out, and that's the risk that Cindy McCain, has taken when she makes these kind of comments. And the other thing that you have to worry about from the Republican standpoint, and I think I would urge Cindy McCain to sort of stay out of it, is that we have gone from people attacking Barack Obama as the scary black man to now the scary black wife who might be in the White, occupying the White House. I've had people send me emails saying she's no better than a Black Panther, she doesn't belong in the White House. And those are the kind of people that you don't want to deal with.
Let's be nuanced then. She does come across as more aggressive than he does in terms of as a social critic, right? Fair?
I think that's a fair criticism, or maybe not necessarily a criticism, but a way of looking at some of the statements that she makes. She is a very different type of...
When you say, this is the first time I've been proud of my country, there are a number of ways to say that you didn't mean that, but there's only one way to acknowledge it. Yes, I said that. And she did say that.
And she did say it. She said, for the first time, I am really proud of my country, which is a little bit different than for the first time I'm proud of my country. Look, it's uncharted territory. She's very different than Cindy McCain. She's very different than Laura Bush, and she's very different in her presence than Hillary Clinton. I think it's going to take time for the American public to know who she is. I don't think she's going through a makeover. I think she's working very hard to reintroduce the American public. Those women in Iowa loved her. There were stories that you could read about her getting on the telephone with wives in Iowa, explaining how her life was very similar to theirs. And I think what she needs to do is tell the American public her story and her life, so that people aren't terrified that this black woman is going to be doing God knows what in the White House.
Joan, last word. Are we in a new era here? We don't know the rules of engagement, because it seems to be in the old days of politics, I was told, never criticize a politician's spouse or family, because it always comes back to bite you. But when you have one spouse going after another spouse, I wonder whether that's fair game or not.
I'd like to see that not happen. I would like to see that not happen, and I would also say, you know, like Michelle says, excuse me, like yes, both Michelles. We've got two Michelles. we've got a situation where this woman may be a sharper social critic. She's never run for president before. She's never run for office. She's not the candidate. She is learning to express herself more clearly. Chris, certainly you and I have had our times when we've had to restate and come back at something, and I certainly give her the benefit of the doubt as she tries to do that and become a public person, because she's an asset to the campaign. Our Rebecca Traister, who traveled with her in Iowa, said those women fell in love with her. So, you know, I think this is a bump in the road.
What a year. What a year this is. What a brand new year. Anyway, thank you, Michelle Bernard. Thank you, Joan Walsh. Up next.